Have you ever felt your heart race as you hit the buy button, not because your strategy gave you a clear signal, but because you simply couldn't bear sitting on the sidelines for one more minute? That sickening feeling in your stomach when you realize you've just entered a trade based on nothing but impatience and fear of missing out. I know that feeling all too well. 3 years ago, that exact impulse cost me $10,000 in a single week of desperate, unfocused trading. It was a painful, expensive lesson, one that transformed my entire approach to the markets. What I'm about to share with you today isn't just another trading strategy or technical indicator. It's something far more powerful, the psychological edge that saved my trading career when I was on the verge of quitting altogether. Has this ever happened to you? The markets are moving, volatility is picking up, and you feel that irresistible pull to jump in. Your finger hovers over the buy button, not because your analysis suggests an opportunity, but because doing nothing feels unbearable. That moment, that precise moment of weakness, is where most trading accounts begin their slow death spiral. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what I discovered after my 10K loss completely contradicts everything most trading gurus are teaching. The market doesn't reward activity, it rewards correct activity. And here's the revelation that changed everything for me. Sometimes the most profitable decision you can make isn't which trade to take, it's which trades to avoid entirely. What if your true edge isn't hidden in some complex entry technique or exit strategy? What if it's simply your capacity to wait, to sit completely still while others around you are frantically buying and selling based on emotion rather than logic? Richard Wyckoff, one of the greatest market operators who ever lived, understood something profound that most traders never grasp. Patience isn't passive, it's the most active form of preparation. It's the disciplined practice of studying, analyzing, and waiting for that precise moment when probability massively shifts in your favor. I remember vividly how it felt before I understood this principle. That restless anxiety, that constant feeling that I needed to be in a position or I was somehow failing. Every day without a trade felt like a wasted opportunity. Every price movement I wasn't part of felt like money slipping through my fingers. What I couldn't see then was how this mindset was systematically destroying my account, trade by trade, day by day. The transformation began when I finally understood that the most powerful position in trading isn't always a long or a short. Sometimes it's no position at all. If you found value in these trading insights, hit that subscribe button to join our community of disciplined traders who understand that true edge comes from mastering psychology, not just technical analysis. What I discovered in the aftermath of that loss was a hidden truth about market success that completely transformed my trading journey. When I finally had the courage to analyze my trading journal over a 5-year period, I uncovered something that shocked me to my core. Just 7 trades, 7 out of hundreds, had accounted for over 80% of my total profits. This revelation wasn't just surprising, it was liberating. Those 7 trades weren't random lucky strikes or gambles that happened to pay off. They were setups where I had waited patiently, sometimes for weeks or even months, for all my conditions to align perfectly. They were moments when my analysis, market conditions, and risk-reward ratio all converged into a single, crystal-clear opportunity. The mindset shift this created was profound. Instead of seeing trading as something I needed to do every day, a constant activity requiring my participation, I began to see it as a selective process of finding the extraordinary among the ordinary. The market suddenly became an endless stream of noise, with occasional powerful signals emerging for those disciplined enough to recognize them. Behind the scenes of every successful trading career lies this fundamental understanding. The market doesn't reward frequency, it rewards precision. It doesn't care how active you are, it only cares how right you are when you choose to act. But here's where most traders misunderstand the concept of patience. They think patience means sitting idly, passively waiting for something to happen. Nothing could be further from the truth. The patience I'm talking about is intensely active. It's the quiet discipline of studying, analyzing, and preparing, while others are losing their composure and making impulsive decisions. This active patience is perhaps the hardest skill to develop in our hyper-connected, instant gratification world. We're conditioned to expect immediate results, immediate feedback, immediate validation. The void between genuine trading opportunities creates discomfort that most people simply cannot tolerate. Their fingers get itchy, their minds start rationalizing subpar setups. They convince themselves they can outsmart time itself. What's fascinating about this journey toward patience is how it reveals a truth about trading that rarely gets discussed. The greatest traders aren't necessarily those with the most sophisticated strategies or the fastest execution systems. They're the ones who have mastered their own psychology, who have developed the rare ability to sit in stillness when the market doesn't offer optimal conditions. I've witnessed countless brilliant analysts destroy their potential because they couldn't handle the silence. They needed constant action, constant feedback, constant validation. But the market doesn't care about our needs for validation. It moves according to its own rhythm, rewarding only those who respect it. The impact of embracing this philosophy extends beyond just your trading account. It seeps into how you approach decisions in every aspect of life. You begin to recognize that some of the most powerful choices you make aren't about what to do. They're about what not to do. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the stark difference between the amateur and the professional trader. Because while the amateur reacts to every price movement, chasing the market's tail, the professional waits like a predator, conserving energy until the perfect opportunity presents itself. Have you experienced this transformation in your own trading? Type patient predator in the comments if you felt that inner battle between wanting to trade and knowing you should wait. The market is perhaps the most brutally effective mirror you'll ever encounter. It reflects back not your trading strategy or your technical analysis skills, but something far more intimate, your psychological triggers. I discovered this the hard way through a series of painful losses that forced me to look beyond my charts and indicators to something much deeper: myself. The journey to mastering patience begins with this uncomfortable self-examination. What exactly makes you jump into trades prematurely? For me, it was a toxic cocktail of fear of missing out, an addiction to the adrenaline rush of entering positions, and a deeply ingrained belief that I needed to be doing something to be successful. This revelation was humbling, yet it was the foundation of my transformation. Professional traders have completed this inner work. They've identified their triggers and developed countermeasures. They've recognized that these emotional impulses aren't wisdom, they're weaknesses to be overcome. This is why they can wait like predators, conserving energy, completely still and focused until the perfect moment presents itself. They don't chase the market, they allow the market to come to them. Behind every impulsive trade lies an unexamined belief, an unmanaged emotion, or an unacknowledged fear. Identifying these patterns isn't just helpful, it's essential for anyone serious about consistent profitability. Without this awareness, you're essentially driving blindfolded through traffic, guided only by instincts that evolved for an entirely different environment than financial markets. What makes this process particularly challenging is the nature of the market itself as a teacher. Unlike a mentor who might gently correct your mistakes or offer supportive guidance when you struggle, the market delivers its lessons through your trading account, through real financial consequences that can be devastating. It doesn't care about your feelings, your financial needs, or your learning curve. It simply responds to your decisions with mathematical precision. I often think of the impatient trader as someone facing a massive tidal wave with nothing but a broken surfboard. They paddle furiously, expending precious energy, convinced they can somehow conquer a force infinitely more powerful than themselves. The patient trader, meanwhile, stands safely on shore, watching, analyzing, waiting for the perfect conditions before even considering entering the water. This mindset shift from trying to conquer the market to learning to flow with it represents one of the most profound transformations any trader can experience. It requires genuine humility, the recognition that the market is always right, and your opinions, no matter how carefully formed, are always subordinate to what price actually does. The hidden truth many discover too late is that patience in trading isn't just a virtue. It's a survival mechanism. It's the quality that keeps you in the game long enough to encounter those rare perfect setups where risk is minimal and reward is substantial. Without it, the market's unforgiving nature will eventually separate you from your capital with brutal efficiency. Ready to transform your trading journey? Subscribe now and gain access to the psychological strategies that separate consistently profitable traders from the rest. What makes your trading decisions truly powerful isn't technical knowledge, it's the psychological framework from which those decisions emerge. Are you acting from clarity or confusion, from strategy or emotion, from patience or impulse? These distinctions make all the difference in your results. Now let me share how this framework transformed when I moved beyond simply understanding my triggers to actively conditioning my responses to them. Because, while awareness is the crucial first step, the real breakthrough comes when you develop systems to manage yourself with the same precision you apply to managing your positions. If you've identified a specific trigger that pushes you into premature trades, write "trigger identified" in the comments, and we can explore this journey together. The moment I truly began to see results wasn't when I discovered a new indicator or mastered a complex trading strategy. It came when I fundamentally reframed how I viewed periods of inactivity. What once felt like wasted time, I began to recognize as something far more powerful: the accumulation of potential energy. Think of it as a coiled spring. Every day you spend studying the market without trading. Every hour you invest in refining your analysis without taking action. You're compressing that spring, building invisible power. This mindset shift changed everything for me. Instead of feeling anxious during periods without trades, I began to see them as deliberate preparation for the moment when conditions would finally align. I remember a particularly revealing period in my journey when I went nearly 6 weeks without placing a single trade. My trading friends thought I'd lost my nerve or my interest. Some even questioned whether I was experiencing burnout. What they couldn't see was that I was more engaged than ever, more present, more focused on the subtle shifts in market structure, volume patterns, and price action. I was waiting for what Wyckoff called the composite operator to show his hand. And when that moment finally arrived, when price, volume, and time aligned perfectly with my analysis, I struck with absolute precision and conviction. That single trade, born from weeks of patient observation, yielded more profit than dozens of mediocre setups could have produced. The revelation behind this approach is that what appears to be doing nothing is actually the most active form of preparation. Like a predator in the wild appearing motionless, while every muscle and sense remains alert and ready for the perfect moment to pounce. This state of heightened awareness combined with physical restraint is what separates elite traders from the average. But this brings us to perhaps the most challenging obstacle on the path to trading mastery, one that few educators ever discuss openly. Most traders fail not because they lack intelligence or even a workable strategy. They fail because they simply cannot endure boredom. This insight might seem trivial on the surface, but it reveals a profound psychological barrier. Boredom in trading manifests as that restless feeling when the market isn't providing clear opportunities that match your criteria. It's that voice in your head whispering, maybe this setup is close enough, or I have a good feeling about this one. These moments of weakness represent critical decision points where your discipline is truly tested. What happens behind the scenes is fascinating. Traders begin with clear, well-defined criteria for what constitutes a valid trading opportunity. But as days pass without those exact conditions materializing, they start making compromises. They gradually lower their standards, rationalizing mediocre setups as intuition or reading between the lines. This subtle shift, this abandonment of discipline, happens so gradually they don't even realize it's occurring. By the time they recognize what's happening, their account balance has often suffered significant damage. The transformation occurs when you recognize that boredom isn't just an emotional state to overcome. It's actually a filter that separates those who have the mindset for trading from those who don't. The capacity to sit through periods of inactivity, to maintain your standards despite the psychological pressure to act, is perhaps the most reliable predictor of long-term trading success. This brings us to a deeper understanding about the relationship between patience and control, a connection that completely changed how I approach not just trading, but decision-making in all areas of life. Because what the market is really testing isn't your strategy. It's your ability to maintain composure under conditions specifically designed to break it. If you've ever found yourself lowering your standards just to place a trade when you were bored, type "standards matter" in the comments. It's a turning point when you recognize this pattern in yourself. The revelation that transformed my approach to markets came when I realized that patience isn't just a trading strategy. It's the ultimate expression of self-control. The market rewards patience precisely because patience demonstrates mastery over the primary emotions that derail most traders: fear, greed, and that constant, gnawing need for validation. When you think about it deeply, every price movement, every tick, every candlestick formation serves as a test of your composure. The market constantly probes for weakness, for any sign that you might abandon your discipline. It's almost as if it has a sixth sense for detecting impatience, moving against the undisciplined trader with uncanny precision. This perspective shift changes everything. Instead of seeing the market as something to conquer through aggressive action, you begin to see it as an environment that rewards those who can control themselves amidst chaos. Every time you resist an impulsive trade, every time you stick to your criteria despite emotional pressure to act, you're not just protecting your capital, you're strengthening your most valuable trading asset, your psychological resilience. What's truly remarkable is how this principle of control through patience extends beyond trading into every aspect of life. The famous Stanford marshmallow experiment showed how children who could delay gratification, who could resist eating one marshmallow immediately for the promise of two later, tended to achieve better outcomes throughout their lives. The same principle applies to successful trading. Those who can resist impulsive action in favor of strategic patience tend to excel not just in the markets, but in their careers, relationships, and personal growth journeys as well. But here's where most traders fall into a dangerous trap. There's a crucial distinction between patience and something far more destructive that often masquerades as patience: hope. Though they may appear similar on the surface, both involve waiting, the underlying mindset creates dramatically different outcomes. Patience is rational. It's grounded in strategy, analysis, and evidence. When you're being patient, you're waiting for specific conditions that your testing has shown lead to profitable outcomes. You have clear criteria, and you're simply allowing the market time to meet those criteria. This waiting comes from strength and conviction. Hope, on the other hand, is purely emotional. It's what happens when a trade moves against you, but instead of following your exit plan, you hope the market will turn around. It's what makes traders average down on losing positions or ignore their stop losses. Hope is waiting without structure, without evidence. It's essentially waiting for a miracle. I experienced this revelation firsthand while watching a particular stock several years ago. This company was building what Wyckoff would call a classic cause, a base pattern developing over weeks. During this accumulation phase, I witnessed dozens of traders jumping in prematurely, convinced each minor breakout was the big one. Each time they were ruthlessly shaken out as the price pulled back. Professional traders, by contrast, possess what I call the power of waiting. They allow the market to come to them rather than chasing every movement. They understand that genuine opportunities reveal themselves through specific, observable patterns, not through gut feelings or impatience. This distinction between patience and hope transformed my approach to position management. I realized that many times when I thought I was being patient with underwater positions, I was actually hoping, abandoning my strategy and replacing it with wishful thinking. Have you noticed this pattern in your own trading? Type patience, not hope, if you've caught yourself hoping rather than following your trading plan when a position moved against you. The mindset shift that truly elevated my trading came when I started thinking less like a trader and more like a hunter. Consider the difference between hunting and chasing as a powerful metaphor for trading psychology. Patient traders adopt the hunter's mindset. They study their prey, understand its patterns, position themselves strategically, and wait for the perfect moment to strike. They conserve energy, knowing that precision and timing matter far more than activity. The hunter doesn't randomly wander through the forest hoping to stumble upon game. They study tracks, understand migration patterns, recognize feeding grounds, and position themselves where opportunity is most likely to present itself. Then, and this is the crucial part, they wait, completely still, completely focused, until the perfect moment arrives. Impatient traders, however, embody the chaser, constantly pursuing, reacting to every movement, expending enormous energy with minimal results. They see a price movement and immediately rush after it, usually arriving exactly when smart money has finished its business and is ready to reverse course. This fragmentation of focus is exhausting both mentally and financially. They chase shadows instead of waiting for substance. I experienced this revelation while watching other traders around me, those constantly jumping from setup to setup, from strategy to strategy, from time frame to time frame, were inevitably the ones complaining about their results. Meanwhile, the consistently profitable traders I knew had a stillness about them, a composed, almost predatory focus that allowed them to strike only when conditions were perfect. Behind the scenes of every successful trading approach lies a hidden truth that rarely gets discussed. Structure creates patience. This insight completely transformed my relationship with the markets. You simply cannot wait effectively if you don't know precisely what you're waiting for. Without clear, defined criteria, patience becomes an abstract concept rather than a practical trading tool. It's like telling someone to wait for the right person without having any idea what qualities that person should have. The ambiguity makes discipline impossible. Developing your structure, your specific repeatable pattern, is the foundation of trading success. For me, that structure involves price action, confirming a change in market phase, volume patterns supporting the move, and a favorable risk-to-reward ratio. When I clearly defined these elements, something magical happened. I stopped feeling like I was missing moves because I recognized that the market provides endless opportunities if you wait for your specific setup. This mindset shift is liberating. Instead of feeling pressured to catch every market movement, you focus only on the setups that match your criteria. The market becomes an endless stream of opportunities rather than a series of missed chances. The key is defining what your ideal trade looks like with such clarity that you can immediately recognize it when it appears, and just as importantly, recognize when a setup doesn't meet your standards. The journey to developing this structure isn't always straightforward. It requires introspection, testing, and refinement. You must discover which market conditions work best with your psychology, time frame, and risk tolerance. This self-discovery process is as much about understanding yourself as it is about understanding the market. But structure isn't only important for entries, it's equally crucial for managing positions and planning exits. In fact, this is where many traders falter on their path to consistency. They develop the discipline to wait for the perfect entry only, to abandon that same discipline when managing the trade. If you found that having a clear, defined structure makes waiting easier in your trading, drop "structure equals freedom" in the comments. It seems counterintuitive, but having rigid criteria actually creates the freedom to trade with confidence. The psychology at work in trading becomes even more fascinating when we look at what happens after entry. Here's a pattern I've observed repeatedly. Traders develop the discipline to wait for the perfect entry only to abandon that same discipline when managing the trade. The same patience that guides a well-executed entry often evaporates once real money is on the line. I've witnessed countless traders grab small profits out of fear, cutting their winners short while letting their losers run, the exact opposite of what leads to long-term profitability. The emotional relief of securing a small profit overwhelms the logical decision to let the trade develop according to plan. This moment of decision, this battle between fear and discipline, is where trading accounts are made or broken. My greatest trades, the ones that truly moved the needle in my trading account, came not just from patient entries but from patient exits. I've held positions through significant market volatility, through days when sentiment shifted wildly, because my analysis gave me conviction and I trusted my original thesis. The revelation came when I recognized that markets don't move in straight lines. Pullbacks, consolidations, and tests of support or resistance are natural, healthy components of any sustained move. But these movements trigger powerful emotional responses. Fear when they move against you, greed when they move in your favor. Your ability to maintain your original plan, despite these emotional triggers, determines your ultimate success. Think about this. What if your edge isn't just in identifying entries, but in having the mental fortitude to manage positions according to plan rather than emotion? What if the largest portion of your profits comes not from being right about direction, but from being patient enough to capture the full movement? Behind the scenes of truly profitable trading careers, you'll find traders who have mastered this dual patience. Patience before the trade, in waiting for setup, and patience during the trade in allowing it to develop fully. They've recognized that an entry is just the beginning of a journey, not its culmination. This brings me back to that critical distinction between patience and hope I mentioned earlier. Understanding this difference transformed how I manage positions. Patience is rational. It's grounded in strategy, analysis, and evidence. When you're being patient with a trade, you're waiting for specific conditions to develop that your testing has shown lead to optimal exits. You have clear criteria, and you're simply allowing the market time to meet those criteria. Hope, however, is purely emotional. It's what happens when a trade moves against your plan, but instead of following your exit strategy, you hope the market will turn around. It's what makes traders move stop losses, average down on losing positions, or ignore clear signs of reversal. Hope is waiting without structure, without evidence, essentially waiting for a miracle rather than respecting market reality. I realized many times when I thought I was being patient with underwater positions, I was actually hoping. I wasn't following a strategy. I was abandoning it and replacing it with wishful thinking. The market doesn't deliver miracles. It delivers mathematics, probability, and human psychology made visible through price. The transformation in your trading begins when you understand that patience builds discipline, while hope destroys it. Every time you abandon your rules and resort to hope, you weaken your trading muscle. Every time you exercise true patience, waiting for your edge, following your plan regardless of emotional discomfort, you strengthen that muscle. If you've caught yourself confusing hope with patience in your trading, write "clarity matters" in the comments. Identifying this distinction is often the first step toward transformation. Now, let me explore another dimension of patience that Wyckoff emphasized so brilliantly: respecting the market's natural rhythm. Markets, like everything in nature, move in cycles. They have seasons: accumulation, markup, distribution, markdown. They have moods: trending, ranging, volatile, quiet. Each of these phases requires a different approach, a different strategy, a different kind of patience. I've witnessed remarkable transformations when traders finally embrace this truth, and I've seen fortunes evaporate when they refuse it, when they stubbornly apply yesterday's strategy to today's entirely different market conditions. The market doesn't reward those who ignore its rhythm. It punishes them with brutal efficiency. Behind the scenes of nearly every trading blow-up is this same story. A trader who made money in one market environment refuses to adapt when that environment changes. They keep forcing the same setups, the same time frames, the same position sizing even as the market clearly signals that conditions have shifted. This is where another counterintuitive truth emerges. Sometimes sitting out is itself a strategic position. There are periods in the market when the highest probability move is no move at all. When conditions are unclear, when volatility is excessive, when your particular edge isn't present, preservation of capital becomes the primary goal. The discipline to recognize when to step aside, to acknowledge that the market owes you nothing and that opportunities will always return, is perhaps the ultimate expression of trading maturity. This perspective shift transforms sitting on the sidelines from feeling like failure to recognizing it as strategic wisdom. One of the most striking revelations I've experienced while studying elite traders is their remarkable comfort with doing nothing. This trait seems simple on the surface, but represents a profound psychological achievement. The best traders I've known could watch the markets all day, analyzing, studying, observing, without placing a single order if their specific setup didn't materialize. This comfort with inaction runs counter to everything our achievement-oriented culture teaches us. We're conditioned to believe that success comes through constant activity, that results require perpetual motion. Yet in trading, this cultural programming works directly against us. What I've come to understand is that patience isn't something you achieve once and then possess forever. It's a daily practice, a muscle that strengthens with use and atrophies with neglect. Each time you reject a mediocre setup, each time you resist the temptation to trade for trading's sake, you strengthen your edge. Each time you withstand market noise without reacting, you sharpen your focus. These small daily victories compound over time, transforming not just your trading results, but your entire relationship with uncertainty. The journey toward this mastery is ongoing, filled with setbacks and breakthroughs. There will be days when your patience wavers, when you abandon your discipline and pay the price. These moments aren't failures but feedback, opportunities to recommit to the practice with deeper understanding. What Wyckoff understood decades ago remains profoundly true today. The market doesn't reward those who act first, but those who act right, and being right takes patience. The patience to wait for the perfect setup, the patience to wait for clarity, the patience to wait until the trade feels almost effortless, because everything aligns so perfectly. If you've experienced moments where sitting out of the market felt like the hardest but ultimately most rewarding decision, type strategic inaction in the comments. It's one of the most powerful positions a trader can take. As we wrap up today's exploration of patience as a trading superpower, I hope you've gained a deeper appreciation for this often overlooked dimension of market success. The journey of mastering patience isn't one you have to walk alone. Each week, I share the psychological insights that transform my own trading, the real factors that determine my success beyond just entry signals and technical indicators. If you found value in this perspective, consider joining our community by subscribing. We focus on these deeper dimensions of trading psychology that most educators never touch, because they're simply harder to teach than entry patterns or indicator settings. The transformation we've discussed today doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, a practice, a daily recommitment to excellence that compounds into remarkable results over time. If this message resonated with you, I'd love to know. Drop "Patience saved me" in the comments so I can recognize you as someone who's serious about this deeper approach to trading. Your engagement makes these conversations possible and helps shape future topics. A simple like tells me we're on the right track with content that actually matters to your trading journey. The principles we've explored today connect directly with market structure reading, which is where this patience gets applied in real-time trading decisions. There's a video right here on exactly how to identify the highest probability setups using Wyckoff's market structure approach. Click and continue the journey with me there, where we'll transform these psychological principles into actionable trading techniques. Remember, in markets and in life, those who master patience don't just preserve capital, they preserve something far more valuable: their peace of mind.